We live in an age of industry and development. It's an uncomfortable fact, but the truth is that most of the raw materials used for building our houses, our cities and our towns come from quarries just like this one. But it's not all doom and gloom. Here in North Shropshire, there's a surprising and inspiring wildlife story to tell. The aggregates industry is vital for the nation's economy. In 2010, 47 million tonnes of sand and gravel were extracted from quarries like this one. The fate of many old quarry workings in the past was abandonment, with nature left to take any advantage it could. But these days, more thought has to be given to what happens when the quarrying has finished. So how are you going to deal with this big hole?
Well, the big hole is created obviously from digging the sand and gravel here. The area that we're looking at the moment has got probably another 4 years sand and gravel extraction remaining. We want to dig that material out, but as we're going, we're actually restoring behind us. So it's what we call a rolling restoration. We don't just leave it all to be done in one big job at the end. Well, the land here before was large drumlins, as they're called, which were left by glaciers, which are basically mounds of sand and gravel. We're extracting those, and because we're extracting down to quite a deep depth, we end up with a big hole, as you can see. What we don't want to do is leave that. We were only borrowing it in the first place. We want to put it back to something beneficial. Part of that is agricultural restoration. The next part of it is using all the materials that we didn't want for our sand and gravel. We use those materials still on site. They don't leave. We keep them here to backfill the areas that you've seen in front of us. We then actually take the soils, put those back on. But over and above just producing agricultural land, what we're trying to do is create something that's more beneficial to the local environment here. We try to actually create some wetland areas that are going to bring in biodiversity to the area, attract wildlife to be here, rather than just simply bland agricultural land as it was before, as some people will say. We're actually creating habitat. So we're borrowing it, but actually going to put it back to something more beneficial to the local community.
This is not just about filling in holes. Tudor Griffiths, the owners of the Wood Lane site, are making hills as well to recreate the undulating landscape of this part of Shropshire, using the rubbish we all throw away. But for me, the most exciting thing is the creation of a whole new nature reserve. It's hard to believe that this used to be a quarry too. It certainly looks well designed for wildlife. But has the transformation worked? To find out, I met up with John Hawkins, who's played a key role in creating and managing the reserve. What was here before the quarry works?
This was agricultural land. It was very wet field, attracted a number of species coming through, and especially little ring plover and lots of lapwings, and also other interesting birds. And bird watchers used to watch from the lane over there and put their records in a little tin box for everybody to have a look and see what it was about.
Have you always been keen on birds, always been a keen bird watcher?
Oh yes, I've always been a keen bird watcher, and that's really why the reserve is here. The great attraction to me was a bird called little ring plover, and I thought it would be a good idea to have a site where we could try and get it to breed in Shropshire. Most years we have a pair, or sometimes even two pairs of little ring plover breeding here, and also in the quarry as well. Okay. But the great value of this is, people say to me, well, why do you want more water? We've got all the meres, but the value of this water here is because it's shallow. And therefore we attract a number of waders, especially through the winter. And we have a good post-breeding site for curlew to come and have a night roost. Right. And we did used to peak at 150 birds. Wow. But curlew, unfortunately, are decreasing dramatically. And now we are probably only down to about 50 birds. The quarry holds the largest breeding colony of sand martins in the county, which will peak in good years at 500 pairs. This year, unfortunately, like everywhere else in the country, due to the weather, numbers have decreased.
In all, 6 hectares at Wood Lane are now managed by the Shropshire Wildlife Trust, who, with some funding from landfill tax credits, have improved the facilities for visitors, including these hides. Last year, 113 species of birds were spotted, and over 1,000 children came on school visits both to the reserve and the quarry. Wood Lane Nature Reserve really is a shining example of how you can take a barren quarry and transform it into a special place for people and wildlife alike.